The year is 1918, Russia. Following catastrophic defeats and imperial abuses during the World War, the Bolshevik Revolution, led by Vladimir Lenin, has succeeded in seizing control of the country. Nicholas II, last emperor of Russia, has abdicated his throne. He and his family have been seized and taken into custody by Bolshevik forces. Around midnight on July 16th, the royal family were awoken and instructed to dress for a portrait. They were led down to the basement by soldiers, lined up, and then executed. Nicholas, his wife, and their 5 young children shot and then stabbed to death with bayonets. The country now belonged to the Bolsheviks. They had liberated it. And what came next was one of the most horrific genocides and mass slaughters in human history. Lenin, and then Stalin after him, ordered the liquidation of an entire class of people. Kulaks, they were called. Essentially peasants who had, through generations of work, been able to acquire a little land for their families. And on that land they employed other farmers. And for this grievous sin of capitalism, they would now be officially considered enemies of the people and the state and liquidated. The term was called dekulakization. This new Soviet socialist government believed in collectivization, and therefore all individual landowners or farmers had to go. Up to 5 million of these farmers were exterminated through murder and forced starvation. Families were torn apart, the adults being sent by industrial trains to slave camps around the country called gulags, where they were worked to death, and the children stolen to state orphanages or just killed. And as always, the women and girls were often raped. And all of this was able to come to pass because the citizens of Russia were unarmed. They had no guns. In 2020, during the Black Lives Matter riots, I, like probably many of you, were watching them excitedly on TV. Most likely CNN, actually. Buildings on fire, masked rioters smashing windows and attacking anything they could find. It was a hell of a show. But then suddenly, in a very weird, surreal moment, I recognized one of the streets being destroyed. Holy shit, that's my street. A mob of hundreds of rioters were marching up Beverly Boulevard, burning cars and smashing windows with pipes, and chanting very familiar Soviet slogans. Eat the rich, burn the rich, kill the rich. It's catchy. And normally I'd be like, yeah, fuck them. But then I thought, wait, me? Dude, I'm not that rich. But they had come anyway. And they had come to burn down my house and kill my family. An indescribable realization. Then suddenly the phone rang. It was the police. I answered it immediately and thought, thank God. But this is what they said. Approximate quote. The city is under attack. There aren't enough of us to protect you. Shelter in place, seal your entrances, and defend yourselves with any weapons you have. Good luck. And so as we chained the doors and turned out the lights, huddling together in the living room, waiting for whatever was to happen, I realized very clearly that there was absolutely nothing I could do to protect my family if the mob found us. Nothing. Because I didn't have any guns. Because I was a good guy, but not a good man. A man's only real purpose is to protect his family. And I promise you, a moment of absolute helplessness like that in the face of a mob coming to tear your family from your home and burn them alive changes your view of the world and politics right quick. Luckily, these brave warriors of social justice were able to be redirected to the Grove, where they burnt down a section of buildings and finally lost interest in their noble work and went back home to post on Instagram about their great heroism. I can go on about mass slaughters and genocides committed by one's own government and neighbors. The Rwandan genocide in 1994, for example, not that long ago. Google it for nightmare fuel. Or the insanity of the Nazis, or the communist revolution in Mao's China, on and on. The examples of governments slaughtering their own people are endless in Europe, Asia, Africa, everywhere. It seems to be basic human nature. But the only place on earth where that hasn't yet happened, excluding the conquest of the continent, is the United States of America. And there is one very simple reason for that. Because we have guns. Protect your family. Protect your home. Protect your country. Protect your guns.